This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 68 of the Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we discuss animal communicators. The breed of the show is the Hummingbird. Critter Nutrition focuses on Biostar's new product, Trinity, for dogs. And in Coffee Klatch, we share what bird species our horses most resemble. Listen in. My little Patty P.
Yes. Did you have a good vacation?
Oh, my God.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was coming.
You know what? I must have had a past life in Alaska.
You think?
I get there and I feel like I'm home.
Oh, that's pretty amazing.
It feels more home than Virginia does.
So what you're saying is that we're going to be doing episodes. We're going to be doing this. You're going to be in Alaska.
No. The weather is, the winter would do me in, and
Yep.
It's too far to travel with dogs. So, really, it's a good place to go for 2 weeks and a year and get my Alaska vibe.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, I got
So
a
what
new
did you
name.
do
It's your recharging station.
It is. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Oh,
The guides
cool.
gave me a new name,
okay.
the Otter Whisperer.
Oh, there's a story behind that.
I bet.
I seem to have an affinity for otters in that they are not afraid of me and they're not skittish around me and they kind of show off in front of me.
Oh, cool.
And the guides say they never get as close to otters as when I'm in the kayak or the boat with them.
Wow.
And it's true. They just, I could reach out and touch them. And they, they show me their babies. And
Really?
yes. And all this time, I have this gigantic lens. And you hear the click, 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 and you think that would, scare them off.
Scare
They
them.
pose.
Oh, I can't wait to see these pictures. I can't wait.
Oh, it's such an awesome place. And I got such an understanding of the fish connection.
Mm.
Not just, fish for humans to eat and fish for the eagles to eat and fish for whales to eat. But when the animals like bears and birds, seabirds, get their fish and then bring it onto land, pieces drop right onto the soil. And that becomes like a fish emulsion for the soil. And over years and years and years and years, it builds up a really rich soil. And that is so profound to me, that everything grows big in these coastal ocean, southern Alaska ocean places because of the fish. And the light, you have light 20 hours a day. So, cabbages, all these vegetables are just gigantic.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've got to grow quick.
And I went up and actually saw Alaska pasture hay. And it's
really
beautiful.
That same thing happened to us when we went. When we visited Lisa, a friend of ours, Lisa. She was talking about having different kinds of hay for the fat horses and the skinny horses. And she said, oh, these are the round bales over here. It's just local pasture hay. And I'm going, dang, we'd kill for that in Florida.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous hay.
Oh, wow.
It's not fair.
Well, don't you think, but don't you think it's because it's got a short period of time that it's got to grow, right?
Well, I think that's part of it. It has a short time to grow, but it's got way long hours to grow.
Oh, I see.
20 hours a day of light.
Oh, wow. That's pretty neat.
Yeah,
well,
she's
I'd
definitely going to be taking
hay.
4 vacations a year.
Yeah, I can see it.
Well, a good 2 weeks a year in Alaska just suits me fine, and I can't wait to go back next year. Next year, I'm going to do Kodiak Island and film those big bears.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But
cool.
We're gonna.
Can't wait to see the pictures.
We're going to do. It seems we have sort of a bird day today.
Oh, and I have to tell you, probably my most excited thing that I'm going to be talking about, I'm just saying, to date, and all of our episodes, very excited.
And I had some incredible bird experiences in Alaska with huge flocks of seabirds just flying up and me being in the midst of them. And they were just flying all around the kayak. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, swarming in such a cool way. Oh, it was awesome. Anyway,
cool.
Let's get going. Let's get started. Today, our roundtable discussion is animal communicators. Have you ever used one? What do you think of them? What's been your experience? I personally have an animal communicator that I work pretty closely with on difficult client horses or dogs. I use her also if I'm stumped by one of my own animals. And, she can really hit the nail on the head.
Mm-mm.
So I'm not a skeptic. I'm sure there are some that are, not as good at it as others. But what are your guys' experiences?
Jennifer, you want to go first? Would you have any experience with it?
Mine will be short. No, I have never used one.
Yeah.
I am a skeptic, but you talk to people like you, Tigger, who have very positive and very constructive relationships with animal communicators. So there's something going on somehow, but I know Glenn, Anna Twiney, I think it's Twiney, is an animal communicator, and he knows her quite well. He's done a number of different interviews with her, and he was the ultimate skeptic. It's bunk. And after he got to know her a little bit and talked to her and talked to people she worked with and talked to people who were also skeptics that talked to her and stuff, he goes, I think some people just have something going on there. I'm not even going to try to explain what it is, but there's something going on
there. Sort of clairvoyant or something. Yeah.
Something going on.
Yeah.
Can't put a name to it.
Yeah.
Patty?
Yeah, I'm with Jennifer. I've never used them. I don't know it's that I'm a skeptic or not a skeptic. I just have a very strong belief that there are that there's just certain things that I don't know. That when I say not supposed to know, I don't mean it like that, but I just feel that I feel like some people are very clairvoyant. I feel like there's things that I've been able to do. It's sort of like Tigger, you talking about, the otters being comfortable. I think there's certain abilities that everybody has. But I know a lot of clients that have used communicators and it's been successful for them. I've had some experience being down in Wellington with the overkill people that, won't, that have maybe used some communicators and it's to the point where they won't buy a sheet for their horse without talking to them. And that to me just becomes hard because
that's
it's
like 1-800 psychic,
Yeah. And that has been a little bit more my, some of my experience with that kind of stuff. But, and that I feel like, still, good horse people are developed because of trial and error. Right. And, some of that stuff, I don't want to see that being taken away. Having said that, when you have someone like you, Tigger, that, obviously has had years of experience with horses, and sometimes we just get stumped, and sometimes the vets are stumped.
Yeah.
So
I took a course about 20 years ago. It was taught by an animal communicator. It was a weekend. And it was all about learning how to communicate with your dog and with other animals.
Right.
And I found that a really interesting experience. First of all, I had to talk to a llama, which was quite interesting. But you basically get yourself very quiet and centered, and you ask permission. You're not looking at the animal. Other than, I was looking at the llama, and then I went into sort of a meditative state and asked permission to talk to the llama. And the biggest part that I learned from this was how much the animals communicate in pictures. Not necessarily, they're not talking to you. You just get an image in your mind. And the first part of learning how to communicate is just write down what comes through. Just write it down. Don't question it. Don't delete it. Don't say, this is insane. You just write it down. And over the period of 3 days, everybody in the group, I think there were about 8 of us, got to where we could filter some of what our judgment or our perception and allow to stand what the animal was giving us or showing us or saying to us.
Right.
And at the last day, and I don't know if you remember my dog Hawkeye. He was a stray. And somebody who read him, because it's hard to read your own animals. So we were all reading everybody else's. And then you have to share it, right? And so she was sharing what Hawk had said to her, and she's reading it. I'm clicking it off the list. Yes, he likes this. Yes, he likes that. No, he doesn't like this. And she said, but he says he's going to have a very short life, and he's worried that Tigger will be upset because he doesn't expect to be here for more than a year, and he was dead in 9 months.
Wow.
Hit by a car.
See, that's stuff your horse shouldn't tell you.
It was a dog.
Yeah,
well, the dog shouldn't tell you.
I think he wanted me to be, and because I had that in my mind, and this is when I was in Europe training. So when I came home, I made a real point before I left again of spending a lot of time with him and realizing it could be the last time, and it was. But if I hadn't had that heads up, I might have just taken him for granted. So,
yeah.
Animal communicators may not be for everyone. For me, when I'm stuck on something, when I'm using or working and even with the vets, if it's not helping, if we're still not getting to what the root cause is, I'll bring in a medical intuitive, which is a communicator that is specific to being able to perceive or read what's going on in the body. And when I used the same one when Pi colicked.
Ah.
And I was on the road coming up from Florida.
Yeah, I remember.
And she worked on him remotely to get that twist back. Remember, he never had to have surgery.
Yep. Well, I hadn't thought about that actually forever. Wow.
So anyway, if you've had experience with animal communicators, please jot us a line at healthycritters.com or on our Facebook page, Healthy Critters Radio, and let us know what your experiences are. So let's give Hedwig a call and see what that little Pomeranian is up to. She's always given me a heads up that she wants to talk about birds.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
I know.
Hello.
Hetty.
Hi, Hetty.
Hello, Sugar Pacifer. It's so nice to hear from you after quite a few weeks of slacking.
Yeah. Slacking. You're right. It's been slacking.
Mainly Tigger.
Mainly
yes.
Tigger. No.
That's true.
I know. What's up with that, right?
So,
Cow.
So, Pat, I understand from your servant that you have a story about birds.
We do have a story. Do you want to hear our story?
Yes.
So last week, horrible, ridiculous horse show activity, and the human servant came back so tired, pathetic, blah, blah, was sitting on the couch trying to do labor of some kind and heard tweeting. Tweet, 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 from the chimney.
Oh.
And then the other servant freaked right out. Let me tell you, completely insane. Oh my God, bird is trapped. Bird is dying. Oh my God, can't stay here. Dad, it's like Edgar Allan Poe. Oh my God, oh my God. And my servant, for once, was the sensible one. I know, shocking. Try to just stay with me on this one. And said, I think those are a bunch of birds, not just one bird. It sounds like a bunch of little birdie voices to me, probably baby birds. Notice how they get quiet sometimes, and then there's another noise, and then they're loud again. And the other servant continued to be psycho for another 2 days because it took quite a while to get a wildlife expert to come out and investigate the tweeting in the walls. It was a little like Halloween, but not as much fun because no chocolate. Anyway, so the tweeting continued, and I was very assiduous in observing the tweeting and reacting to the tweeting by perking up my ears in an adorable way and sometimes even wafting my fronds toward the chimney. That is how amazing I am. And also, I did a little research, and I discovered a bird called the chimney swift, and I was quite certain right away that this was what we had, a nest of chimney swifts, because they sounded quite swift to me. And then the man from the wildlife place came, and he said, ta-da! You have a nest of chimney swifts. Baby ones, little tiny chirpy baby ones. Yes. And that is why they are chirpy, and then they are quiet. They are quiet when their mother comes with snacks, much as I am quiet when my servant comes with tea.
Of course.
I felt an immediate kinship with these baby swifts.
Aww.
And then we learned that it is a sign of good fortune to have your home chosen by a swift because they're very rare and even protected under the Endangered Species Act. Wow. And so we learned our friends will be living with us for the next 2 to 3 weeks while they grow up. And then their mom will teach them to fly in our chimney. And then they will all fly away. And when the nest is empty, there will be no more tweeting. But then we can take the nest down. And it's just an important piece of information for all our friends and listeners to put a cap on one's chimney so that a swift does not move in.
Yeah, I have a chimney cap.
Well, we have 3 chimneys, Tigger. We're sorry, we forgot one.
Yeah, Tig.
Stupid.
Don't be all judgy. It's not charming.
Well, Hedwig, that's the perfect story for this episode because we are, deeply involved in birds this episode. So
we are.
I'm really glad that you have welcomed the chimney swifts and are so aware of how important it is to protect endangered species. And, if I were you, I'd try to drop down some cheese for them to really show your true appreciation.
Yeah.
I was thinking of sharing some of my snacks, but I was told that they would not like my snacks. They apparently like bugs and worms.
Oh, and you probably don't have those as snacks.
No, I don't have a big supply of those. I offered a cat.
Oh,
but that was too big.
That's not really a snack. That's more like a meal.
And I offered my brother.
Yeah,
I pushed him right into the fireplace.
He'd be a little gamey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just pushed him right in there, and I waited, but they didn't take him.
He may be a little big.
Well, thanks, Hetty.
Starve him. Oh,
well, you don't
no
want
problem, as usual.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Hetty.
Bye. Have a nice day, Tigger.
You too.
Bye, Hetty.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
So we're now at the breed of the show, and I am the most excited, Tigger and Jennifer, because I've chosen to do hummingbirds, which since I've moved back to Virginia, and I've always been fascinated by them. When we were in Colorado last year, they were everywhere. And, over times I've seen them, and I just think, I don't know why, I just find them, they're just so fascinating, and I don't really, see them that often. But a few of them were flying around my front porch, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go get a hummingbird feeder. Well, one or two turned into, 20 or 30 because I got a little carried away. And so I've been doing a lot of research on them, and it's just they're just fascinating. So I now am the keeper and am responsible for. I don't know how to count them, but honestly, there has to be at least 20. And they are just. I sit on my front porch and I have my coffee in the morning and I watch them wake up and they start going to the feeders. And some of the things that I had noticed was, and I have plenty of feeders out, they will go to the feeder and then another one will kind of push the other one off. Like there's a lot of hummingbird fights, and I was like, that's kind of weird. I wonder if they're not a mating pair or that's a male. Chasing off another male. And it turns out that they really are, they're not very nice to each other.
They're territorial.
They really are. And they, they actually end up, they consider them really quite unsocial. In fact, they're feisty. There's some of the adjectives used when I was reading about them. And, when one or more is around, the repeated scene of these high-speed chases, which is kind of interesting. And so the pair, the breeding pair, they're a non-pair bonding after mating. So it's just about, the breeding and then they go on. And so it's actually males and females that are chasing each other from their favorite spot, which was also interesting. And they can do this with flowers as well, but they have favorite spots where they like to get their nectar. So that was another thing that I noticed, that some of the feeders just don't go down as much. And so there's this one feeder, the very first one I got, which is a big one because I can put lots of stuff. They won't eat from it. None of the birds like that. But now I'll put the two little, like $3 ones that I've got. I will put them out, and literally 3 hours later, they're just drained. So it's just fascinating, right? I find this all so fascinating. So, yeah, and
they just want junk food, okay?
They want junk food.
Give us the sugar.
Yeah, when you consider that, now consider this, that their wings, when they're flying, go 1,200 times a minute.
It's unbelievable. Think of the calories they burn.
Right, and so that's the next thing, is that they obviously, but they're constantly in search of food because of their caloric requirements. And they are actually one of the few birds that go into, I'm probably not going to do this right, they go into torpor, which is a very deep sleep-like state, which the metabolic functions are slowed down to minimize for low body temperature. So if it gets a little colder, it's almost like hibernation. And I think some of it has to do with if there's lack of food. So one of the things that I learned is that if you start feeding them, they rely on you. I mean, it's like I take my hummingbirds, I take it very seriously.
Good for you.
Well, it's such a joy. Like I just like to rush home. I'd love to get up early just to watch the birds.
And
but
to hear them, that for me is one of the phenomena is before you even see them, you hear the wings.
You can hear it. And they make noises. They talk a lot. Yes. They kind of, chatter back and forth. But so that brings me to the next thing that just got me very interested is, I just was at Walmart and I bought the red stuff they have and whatever.
Oh, yeah, not good.
Right, not good because the best thing to do. And they are drawn to color. So if people want to do the same thing, they are drawn to colors. You can get non-artificial coloring of some sort to put in your homemade remedy, which is 1 part sugar and 4 parts tap water, which you do tap water, but you have to boil it and then obviously cool it down. But I go through maybe almost half a gallon to a gallon a day.
That's great.
So like literally when, and if I could probably do, and so there's the point, but then I started to feel a little like overwhelmingly guilty because like I was gone on vacation and the lady that was watching the dogs, I'm like, you got to feed my birds. She did. And there were more when I got back. But yeah, they're just fascinating. So this is the really cool, and there's different species. And in this area, there's the red-throated, which they're not
ruby-throated,
brilliant color. Ruby-throated, excuse me. And they're like brown with a little with the red, which is just they're beautiful. But they're getting to the point where they're getting. I can kind of tell they're getting ready to leave. But they start coming depending on where you are. In May. Sometimes the end of April, and they migrate, down back to Mexico or wherever they decide to go. But they weigh, I hope you guys are ready for this, maybe a little bit more than a penny.
Whoa.
I mean, think about that.
Flying
like a little bit more
pennies.
than a penny.
Flying pennies.
Yep. And of course, they do have very, very tiny nests. They see tiny birds, tiny nests. And they make a little, the ruby-throated hummingbirds make like a little clutch. It's just as tiny as like little peas, and they're, walnut shell size woven, little nests. I mean, they're just very tiny nests. You wouldn't really see them. And it's just the whole thing to me is just so fascinating, but they live in my trees. And so if you are in an area that's surrounded by woods, so I'm like in the middle of 200 acres and there's woods all around me, but apparently that's, generally where they are. But now they live in these 2 trees. And at night I can literally sit there. It starts to become dusk and they go to bed. It's the coolest thing in the world. Just sit there and just know, like in the morning I'll come out and like, I every afternoon when I come home, I've got to fill up the other 2 feeders because they're ready. And the other feeder that I have that they don't like, which I have left full of the food, and just to see if they would eventually go to it, won't touch it. They just don't like this particular feeder. But the other thing to also note is that when you do change the water, which I have to fill mine every day because apparently they told their friends, this one lady will keep us feeding, is to clean it out. Is they, because sometimes little insects and stuff can get in there. And the other diet that they do have, they do eat small insects, but very minor. But their major thing that they live off is nectar. But isn't that cool? And they live about 5 years, so they'll go back and forth to the same area for about 5 years.
Oh, that's so
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
I know.
But so if you have a hummingbird story you want to share with Patty, go to healthycrittersradio.com and get us on Facebook.
Woo!
And now we're at Critter Nutrition, and I'm going to talk to you about a new product coming from Biostar called Trinity. And Trinity is for dogs. This is Biostar's first CBD formula. CBD is from hemp. It's a legal cannabidiol and is sold in all 50 states, often with claims that it can treat everything from Lyme disease to cancer. The flood of health claims makes CBD sound more like a tonic from the 1800s sold by a traveling medicine show. The fact is, CBD is not a miracle cure, but it can provide important health benefits that begin with the cannabinoid receptor sites in the body. All mammals and other animals, including birds, reptiles, fish, sea urchins, leeches, and mussels, have cannabinoid receptors located throughout their bodies. We also produce molecules called endocannabinoids, endo means within our bodies, to stimulate the cannabinoid receptors. The endocannabinoids have a short life before being degraded by intercellular enzymes. The body does not store endocannabinoid molecules. They are produced on demand. These receptors and biochemical compounds are all part of the biological endocannabinoid system, which endeavors to maintain a stable internal environment despite fluctuations in the external environment. This is known as homeostasis. Scientists estimate that the endocannabinoid system evolved in primitive animals over 600 million years ago. The basic functions of the endocannabinoid system are the regulation of homeostasis, including metabolism, pain, mood, movement, memory and learning, immune function, inflammation, and digestion. Not only can CBD fit into the cannabinoid receptors, it also increases the availability of the body's endocannabinoids by stopping a specific enzyme from degrading them. This in turn provides more cannabinoids for the body. Whole food CBD. After hemp oil has been extracted or pressed from the leaves, stalks, and flowers, the biomass of the plant is left, still containing smaller amounts of CBD plus all the nutrients and nutritional cofactors not extracted with the oil. Two of these compelling components, in addition to CBD and the biomass, are the terpenes and the bioflavonoids. There are over 200 terpenes that synergistically interact with cannabinoids in the plant. Among these is beta-caryophyllene, which can target CB2 receptors to reduce inflammation and pain. Unique to hemp is a subclass of flavonoids called canaflavines. One particular canaflavine, known as canaflavine A, is an inhibitor of the pro-inflammatory prostaglandin known as PGE2. The hemp biomass contains fiber, protein, fat, carbohydrates, vitamin E, plus calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, copper, zinc, and manganese. Biostar's new Trinity formula provides organic hemp biomass, grown in Oregon from a particular hemp strain high in CBD, terpenes, bioflavonoids, and canaflavines. Biostar's Trinity includes green-lipped mussel, carefully processed without heat and freeze-dried. This food is an excellent source of glucosamine and chondroitin, plus the glycosaminoglycans, also known as GAGs, which are the key components of cartilage and synovial fluid in joint. GAGs are known to assist in tissue repair and to help provide elasticity and flexibility to articular cartilage. Astaxanthin, a super antioxidant carotenoid from red algae, can help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. Organic turmeric, to help reduce chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, supports digestion, including reducing gas and bloating. Chlorella, a single-cell freshwater algae that is rich in nucleic acids and can assist the body in detoxification from environmental pollution. Non-GMO sunflower lecithin, important for the absorption of astaxanthin and providing specific neurotransmitter support for cognition, memory, and the nervous system. Organic black pepper, widely used in Ayurvedic medicine for its antioxidant and antimicrobial properties, is also a gastroprotective. This formula is in a base of desiccated beef liver from Argentina, along with dehydrated coconut meal. Due to the precise dosage of CBD and the green-lit muscle meat, we have divided Trinity into 3 products, one for small dogs under 20 pounds, one for medium dogs up to 50 pounds, and one for large and extra-large dogs over 50 pounds. The ingredients are exactly the same, only the dosage and serving sizes are different. How much do I feed? At this point, we know that How much CBD a dog needs is unique to that dog. Some dogs need only 1 serving per day. Others may need 2 or 3. Don't be afraid to experiment to find what dose is best for your dog. Sublingual versus oral. CBD oils, which are ingested sublingually, provide rapid onset of action and are readily absorbed into the bloodstream. Orally ingested CBD, either via eating food containing CBD or taking a whole food form of CBD like hemp biomass, is gradually absorbed in the GI tract. Remember, the GI tract is one of the sites of the cannabidiol receptor CB1. So although oral digestion takes longer, it can also last longer, resulting in having to use it less often than the oils. Biostar's Trinity will be available mid-September 2018.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
Well, since we've had sort of a episode focused on birds, I thought it would make sense that we kind of relate that to our horses.
Yeah, why not?
And I will start because I am convinced that really Lion is a puffin.
A puffin?
Yes. Well, I got to study puffins in Alaska. And if you don't know what a puffin is, it looks like a little penguin kind of creature. It has a bright colored beak, but it's not a penguin. And it's a seabird. And when it flies kind of like a hummingbird. It can't hover, but the wings go 1,000,000 miles an hour. And
that's kind of cute.
And its legs go out at right angles. So the legs go out and the wings flap really, really hard. And it's a fairly small bird. And it makes me think of Lion, who is still at age 32 a beautiful horse, just as puffins are really spectacular looking birds. But when he starts moving, he's no longer working in collection. And when covering ground, his canter is like, brr, 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 brr. And it's just like a puffin's wings.
So, that is too funny.
And they're very skittish.
I just looked up a puffin. That's pretty cute. That's pretty adorable.
They're very, very skittish, which, Lion certainly is.
Yeah.
So I think Lion is most like a puffin.
Okay, they've got a little bit of a beak on them too.
Oh yes, they do.
Very interesting beak. Okay, I've heard of puffins, and I didn't realize they're pretty kind of tiny, aren't they?
Oh, they are.
Cute little feet. Okay, that's pretty cute. I actually I want a puffin now. I'm sure they do well in my front yard.
It would go great with your hummingbirds.
I know. I can put a puffin
You just need some salt water and a fairly large pool.
I have plenty of salt. I can do that as I'm making my hummingbird food. I can make that for them. Okay, done.
No worries.
Good.
Yep, no worries. How about you, Jennifer? What's your horse?
Oh, I didn't so much think. Well, I think Scooter might be a flamingo.
Okay.
Trying to imagine this.
Yeah, cool to look at, kind of leggy and long and skinny neck and and frequently smelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
they
flamingos
they
were
smell. I didn't know
eating,
that. Okay.
and they eat pretty much continuously, and then they sleep, and then they eat some more. So that's pretty much Scooter. Nigel.
Wow.
I'm gonna make Nigel. I think I'm gonna make Nigel a duck.
Which kind of duck?
That plain old boring white duck that lives in everybody's backyard.
You mean like a Peking duck?
No, those are the tall, thin ones. Is a Pekin duck, I think. I forget what they're called. It's that plain white one that you see in petting zoos all the time. It's very tolerant. Little children can pet it and try to catch it, and it doesn't get upset and doesn't get mean.
Yep.
And it's kind of plain, and it's so very useful. It doesn't complain much, but still attractive.
Okay.
That's Nigel.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to look up if indeed there was something just called a duck, and they do call it a pekin, by the way.
Yeah, Peking
American
duck.
pekin, just a white duck. Or there's a crested. Not that you guys. I mean, I do birds, guys. Okay, so you know this.
Oh yeah, so it's a Pekin duck. I thought the Pekins were the ones that were the real tall, skinny ones. That's an Indian runner. Is the tall, skinny one. He's not that. He's not tall and skinny at all.
Okay.
He's kind of
Okay.
he's kind of squat and frumpy.
But can we just take a second and who's proud of Tigger for knowing that was the name of the duck? What's up with you, Tigger?
Dang.
I used to have Pekin ducks.
Okay, well there. Of course you did.
Of course you did.
And I named them after political candidates. I had George Bush, Nancy Reagan, and Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay,
Well,
so what bird is your new horse most like?
My little youngster who is 3 years old, and he's 17 hands, and both of his front legs come out of the same hole. So keep in mind, he's extraordinarily well balanced, but he's got a long swan-like neck. And I'm not going to say swan. I'm going to say ostrich. Because there are times where I feel like he gets his head and neck up there. I'm like, oh my gosh, put that thing down. Put that thing down. Please put that thing down. But he's also, if you guys have ever watched, and this isn't duck, but it's still on an animal species, is Madagascar and the giraffe.
Now, wait a minute. We're staying with the birds.
I know, but I'm just going to tell you, you need to think of that when you think of him and a bird. His nickname is Melman. Just because yeah. So if there were a giraffe bird, that would be Ken. And not that he puts his head up all the time, but it's just sort of funny because if something happens, he goes, oh my gosh, did you see that over there? And he literally can get his head and neck up that high, look, I don't know, over tall buildings. And then he comes right back down.
Doesn't a stork have a fairly long neck?
A stork would be good.
Yeah,
yep, that's good.
Definitely.
I think that would be good as well.
Yeah, stork.
Yep. Yeah. And, but the thing is that I reserve the right to change this because I'm sure in a year's time, it's going to be something different, a different type of bird with a bird with contact, a bird that goes on the bit. So I got a year to figure this out. A bird that collects,
Well, he's only 3.
I know he's a baby. Oh, and it's really kind of funny because he's very, he's the most seriously well-balanced 3-year-old I've ever seen. He's 17 hands and he can canter on a 20-meter circle with on a lunge line. I'm like, seriously, you shouldn't be able to do that, but okay, wow. If you're going to offer, I'll take it. Yeah. So, yeah, but he uses his neck like a rudder, so he stands, he never falls down. But he's a baby. So, there you go. So he could be.
You've gone from Spanish horses with their short, massive necks. To horse.
I like to live life. Just saying. I like, you know what? If I feel like I figured something out, why not figure something? I mean, I got to keep it real, right?
That's right.
No moss is going to grow under my stone.
Well, let us know what bird your horse reminds you of, and contact us on healthycrittersradio.com.
Indeed.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging with your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo. Ponder
with your panda.
Walk with your Wookiee.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.